So today we will start the chapter named The Happy Prince. It's a very beautiful story যেখানে একটা সোয়ালোকে পার্সনিফাই করা হয়েছে and given human interaction with a statue of a prince of the particular city. The title itself is an irony, though the title named as the Happy Prince. The statue of the Happy Prince was not actually happy. কেন সেটা আমরা দেখব. The Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphires for eyes and a ruby in his sword. Why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? কেন ওইগুলো থেকে পার্ট হতে চাইছিল? কেন ওইগুলো থেকে সে চাইছিল যে মানে মেনে নিতে পারেনি, ওগুলোকেও খুলে দিতে চেয়েছিল শরীর থেকে? কেন? লেটস সি. High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the Happy Prince. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. মানে ওর যে মেন স্ট্যাচুটা সেটাকে গিল্ড করা ছিল কি দিয়ে? থিন লেয়ার অফ গোল্ড দিয়ে, একদম গোল্ডের একটা লেয়ার দিয়ে ওটাকে মোড়া ছিল. For eyes he had two bright sapphires and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. সোর্ডের যে মাথাটা থাকে, ওই যেখানটা আর কি হ্যান্ডেলটা ধরে, যেটা তার ওপরের যে পার্টটা সেটাকে বলছে হিল্ট, সেইখানটাই একটা রেড কালারের স্যাফায়ার রুবি ছিল. One night there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived the city. এবার কি হয়েছে দেখো. একটা পাখি উড়ে যাচ্ছিল, তাদের যে one night there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had already gone away towards Egypt, because during winter time these are the kind of migratory birds who migrated towards the warmer places. তো এই সময় তারা ইজিপ্টের দিকে চলে যাচ্ছিল, because Egypt was warmer than the place they belong that time. But he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt. ও চাইলো যে আমিও যাই. তো সেই রাত্রে কি হলো, এই সিটির ওপরে এসে ওখানে থাকলো. দিয়ে কি করলো, নাইট টাইম হি অ্যারাইভড এট দ্য সিটি. হোয়ার শ্যাল আই পুট আপ? কোথায় থাকবো, কোথায় কি করবো? He said, I hope the town has made preparations. Then he saw the statue on the tall column. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the Happy Prince. I have a golden bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked round, and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wing, মানে স্ট্যাচু অফ দ্য হ্যাপি প্রিন্সের নিচেও রেস্ট করতে শুরু করলো. I have a golden bedroom. So he thought that the place where he was about to take the rest was as it was a golden bed. So he thought that he would have a golden bedroom, a golden bed. But you know, this term is also an irony, because what he thought as golden bed, মানে আরাম কেদারা, আরাম হয়ে থাকার জায়গা, that would turn into something else. And let's see what is going to be happening. আচ্ছা, তোমাদেরকে আমি বলে দিই যে আইরেনি মানে কি। আইরেনি স্ট্যান্ডস ফর হোয়াট ইজ সেড আর হোয়াট ইজ ডিসাইডেড উড হ্যাপেন দ্য অপোজিট, ঠিক তার উল্টোটা ঘটা। ঠিক আছে, তো দেখো, I have a golden bedroom, he said softly to himself as he looked round, and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. Top করে গায়ের ওপর একটা জল পড়ল। What a curious thing, he cried. There is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. কি করে এই ব্রাইট স্কাই কি করে বৃষ্টি পড়ছে? Then another drop fell. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? এই স্ট্যাচু কেমন যে বৃষ্টি আটকাতে পারে না? He said, I must look for a good chimney pot. And he determined to fly away. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw, ah, what did he see? কি দেখতে পেল? মানে ভেবেছে কি, he would flew away towards the chimney where he could take a rest, and that may give him মানে coziness, and he could feel warmth, and he could shelter itself from the rain that was dripping down. কিন্তু যেই ওপরে তাকালো, he found that something curious. The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. So the statue of the happy prince was also crying. So as we know that a statue cannot speak or cry or do anything humanly activities, it is also the same thing that the statue of the happy prince also being personified. ঠিক আছে? Who are you? He said. I am the happy prince. নাম কেমন? Happy prince. But what it was doing? Crying. Why are you weeping then? Asked the swallow. You have quite drenched me. আমাকে তো ভিজিয়ে দিয়েছো। When I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue, I did not know what tears were. For I lived in the palace where sorrow is not allowed to enter. My courtiers called me the happy prince. যখন আমি বেঁচে ছিলাম তখন আমি জানতাম না দুঃখটা কিছু। And my courtiers সভাসদরা আমাকে কি বলতো? Happy prince. And happy indeed I was, so I lived, and so I died. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the misery of my city. And though my heart is made of lead, yet I can't choose but weep. You know, it is a kind of presentation of the political scenario which can be exemplified, which can be compared with even today's. Those who are the high ranked people, persons, officials, executives, they hardly pay any attention towards the common people. As they are rich, they are, so high ranked, they have their own enormous lifestyle, luxuries, they can have all the luxuries they can have, so they could hardly know the meaning of sadness. Inside the palace, the prince was also happy like this. But after his death, as I already told you, the statue has been personified. গল্পে তো গরুও গাছে ওঠে, তো সেরমই statue of the happy prince, when it was set at the high place of the city, on the city, he could see the ugliness of the, he could see the poverty, he could see the miseries that the common people face, and thus it could not remain happy as it was when it was alive. বুঝতে পারছো? তাই সে কাঁদছে, সেই কষ্ট দেখে সে কাঁদছে। What? Is he not solid gold? Said the swallow to himself. He was too polite to make any personal remarks. Far away, continued the statue in a low musical voice. Far away in a little street, there is a poor. কি বললো? Far away, continued the statue in the low musical voice. Far away in a little street, there is a poor house. One of the windows is open, and through it I can see a woman seated at a table. Her face is thin and worn, and she has coarse red hands, all pricked by the needle, for she is a seamstress. She is embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor to wear at the next court ball. কি হচ্ছে? অনেক দূরে বলতে শুরু করলো, একটা মিউজিক্যাল ভয়েস আসছে, ফার অ্যাওয়ে ইন আ লিটল স্ট্রিট দেয়ার ওয়াজ আ পোর হাউস, একটা পোর বাড়ি আছে, ওইখানে একটা উইন্ডো খোলা, আর সেখান দিয়ে কি হচ্ছে, ও দেখতে পাওয়া যাচ্ছে কি একটা মোমেন্ট বসে আছে। ওকে, হার ফেস ইজ থিন অ্যান্ড ওন, জরাজীর্ণ, she was completely worn out. She already had wounded her hand and has become reddened it due to work. কি work? All pricked by the needle. নিডলে খোঁচা লেগে এরকম রক্ত হয়ে গেছে, মানে মানে এফেক্টেড হয়ে গেছে। For she is a seamstress, মানে যে জামা কাপড় বুনে টুনে দেয় বলে, উইভার টাইপের, মানে স্টিচ করে। She is embroidering flowers on a satin gown. স্যাটিনের একটা গাউন আছে, সেই গাউনটা সে কি করছে, হাতে করে করে নকশা করছে, ডিজাইন করছে সুতো দিয়ে। But the beautiful gown that would have been owned by the queen of honor বা maids of honor, ঠিক আছে, কুইন্স মেডস অফ অনার, মানে কুইনের মেডসরা হয়তো পড়বে সেই রকম জাঁকজমক একটা পার্টিতে, বল পার্টিতে পড়বে, সেইটা যে বানাচ্ছে তার যে অ্যাকচুয়াল কারিগর, সে কীরকম, সে কিন্তু আসলেই পোর। What actually we can realize from this part of the story, that the work which is done by a laborer, the work that a person do, would have been utilized by someone else. The beauty that is created by the person, he or she cannot enjoy it. The creativity of the person cannot be enjoyed by that particular person. It can be enjoyed by someone else. It is also can be called as irony of fate. সে তার আঙুল ব্যথা করে, লাল করে, রক্ত বের করে, উইপ করেই যাচ্ছে, অত সুন্দর যে জিনিসটা তৈরি করবে সেটা পড়বে কে, অন্য, আর সে কিন্তু বোর থেকে যাচ্ছে, সে কিন্তু কষ্ট পেয়ে থেকে যাচ্ছে। To wear at the next court wall in a bed in the corner of the room, a little boy is lying in. He has a fever and is asking his mother to give him oranges. His mother has nothing to give him but river water, so he is crying, swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword hilt? তুমি কি ওকে আমার ওই সোর্ডের ওইখান থেকে ওই রুবিটা দিয়ে আসবে? My feet are fastened to the pedestal and I cannot move. আমার পা তো বাঁধা স্ট্যাচু so it cannot move. So it could give it to her. But can the swallow help him, or particularly that poor lady? That I বলতে চাইছি. I am waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My cranes are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flowers. Soon they will go to sleep. The prince asked the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. The boy is so thirsty and the mother is so sad, he said. বলল ছেলেটার খুব চেষ্টা পেয়েছে, মাটাও খুব কষ্ট পাচ্ছে, দুঃখ পেয়েছে। আই ডোন্ট থিঙ্ক, আর ও বলছে কি আমার বন্ধুরা ওইদিকে ইজিপ্টে মজা করে বেড়াচ্ছে আর তুমি আমাকে এখন লোকের হেল্প করতে বলছো? বলছে তুমি একটা রাত্রি থেকে যাও আমার মেসেঞ্জার হয়ে। হ্যাঁ, দাদা কি হয়েছে? I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It is very cold here, he said. But he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Thank you, little swallow, said the prince. When the swallow কি হয়ে গেল? রাজি হয়ে গেল। The swallow picked up the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. He passed by Cathedral Tower, where the white marble angels were sculptured. ওখানে কি ছিল? হোয়াইট মার্বেল এঞ্জেলস গুলো স্কাল্পট করা ছিল। কিসের ওপর দিয়ে গেল? ক্যাথেড্রাল। কিন্তু তারা কিন্তু এঞ্জেল স্কাল্পট করা, কিন্তু তারা হেল্প করতে পারলো না। নাও হু কুড হ্যাভ বিন দ্য রাইট এঞ্জেল? দ্য সোয়ালো। রাইটফুল এঞ্জেল কুড বি দ্য সোয়ালো, তাই না? He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl came out of the balcony with her lover. I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball. যে মেয়েটা এলো তারই জন্য জামাটা হয়তো বানাচ্ছে। She said, I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstress are so lazy. কখন বলেছি এত দেরি করে দিচ্ছে। She was excited for having her new dress with embroidered with flowers and all, with beautiful decorations, but to whom it had been given she was poor, she was alone, she was doing it day and night, and it was so hard task. But even after that she remained poor, but nobody is going to pay her for her work. He passed over the river and saw the lanterns hanging on the masts on the ships. At last he came to the poor woman's house and looked in. The boy was tossing feverishly on his bed, and the mother had fallen asleep. She was so tired he hoped and laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Then he flew gently round the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. How cool I feel! কি বললো? কি ঠান্ডা লাগছে, said the boy. I must be getting better. And he sank into a delicious slumber. হাওয়া দিচ্ছিল, ঘুমিয়ে গেল। Delicious slumber মানে খুব tasty sleep. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince. হ্যাঁ, মানে ঘুম যখন হয় তখন ভালো লাগে না, মানে খেতে তো পাওয়া যায় না, বাট ইট ক্যান বি ফেল্ট সো নাইসলি, ডিপ স্লিপ। হ্যাঁ, এটা বলা হয়েছে ওইভাবে। Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. It is curious, he remarked, but I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold. Now, why did she feel warm? Because the swallow had done something great. A good deed can give you more warmth than an ordinary things which can give you some pleasure. Materialistic. Now the swallow is feeling the spiritual warmth, as he had done a rightful conduct. মানুষের সাহায্য করা অনেক বড় কাজ, সেটা করেও না ফিল করছে যে হ্যাঁ that is because you have done a good action, said the prince, and the little swallow began to think, and then fell asleep. Thinking always made him sleepy. When day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. Tonight I go to Egypt, said the swallow, and he was in high spirits at the prospect. খুব আনন্দে ছিল. He visited at the monuments and sat a long time on top of the church steeple. চার্চের ওই গম্বুজের ওই জায়গাটা অনেকক্ষণ বসে থাকলো. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. Have you any commissions for Egypt? তোমার কোনো মেসেজ আছে বা কিছু কাজ আছে ইজিপ্টে? He cried, I am just starting. আমি চললাম. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you stay with me one night longer? আর এক রাত্রি থাকবে? I am waited for in Egypt, answered the swallow. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, far away across the city I see a young man in a garret. He is leaning over a desk covered with papers, and in the glass by his side there is a bunch of withered violets. মানে কালি কথা বলা হচ্ছে. Ink. His hair is brown and crisp. মানে খসখুসকো হয়ে গেছে. And his leaves are red as a pomegranate. লাল টকটক করছে পমগ্রেনেটের মতো. And he has large and dreamy eyes. এখানে এই যে as red as pomegranate হচ্ছে simile, example for simile. Literary devices এগুলো, irony, simile, personification. এবার কি হয়েছে? And he has large and dreamy eyes. He is trying to finish a play for the director of the theatre, but he is too cold to write anymore. ঠান্ডায় আর লিখতে পারছে না, আর না লিখলে পয়সা পাবে না. There is no fire in the grate, and hunger has made him faint. হাঙ্গারে ও কি হয়েছে? ফেন্টেড হয়ে গেছে. I will wait for you one night longer. এবার রাজি হলো তাও আবার একবার. The place was extreme cold, said the swallow. এটা আমি বললাম, এটা বই লেখা নেই, এক্সট্রিম কোল্ডটা. হ্যাঁ, said the swallow, who really had a good heart. He asked if he should take another ruby to the young playwright. Alas, I have no ruby now. বলে আরেকটা রুবি দিয়ে আসবো, তাই বলছে, কিন্তু আমার তো আর রুবি নেই. said the prince. My eyes are all that I have left. They are made of rare sapphires. চোখগুলো কি দিয়ে তৈরি? Sapphires, rare sapphires, which were brought out of India 1,000 years ago. He ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them and take it to the playwright. He will sell it to the jeweler and buy firewood and finish his play, he said. Dear prince, কি তুলে দিতে বলছে? ওর চোখ তুলে দিতে বলছে. Though it was a statue, as we have come to know that it could see and speak. See, one of his eyes has been taken out. What would have been? He could feel half blind. He could be half blind. সে বলছে, দেখো, dear prince, said the swallow, I can't do that. And he began to weep. কাঁদতে লাগলো. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. So the swallow plucked out the prince's eye and flew away to the young man's garret. যেখানটায় থাকার জায়গা বসেছিল সে জায়গায় বলছে garret. It was easy enough to get in, as there was a hole in the roof. ছাদে ফুটো, ঠান্ডা কাল, তাতে জানলা কি আছে, ছাদেও ফুটো. Through this he darted, ঢুকে গেল, and came into the room. The young man had his head buried in his hands. মাথায় এরকম করে হাত দিয়ে কোন রকমে পড়ে আছে. So he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wings, and when he looked up, he found the beautiful sapphire lying on the with red violets. I am beginning to be appreciated, he cried. This is from some great admirer. Now I can finish my play. And he looked quite happy. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor. He sat on the mast for a large vessel and watched the sailors working. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow, but nobody minded. And when the moon rose, he flew back to the happy place. কিন্তু ও যেতে পারলো না, যাবো বলেও আবার ফিরে চলে এলো। I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried, কাঁদতে লেগেছে এবার। Because for 2 long days he had done something good for the people. He helped not only those people but also he helped the desire of the happy place. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you not stay with me one night longer? আরো একটা রাত্রি থাকবে না? It's winter, answered the swallow, and the snow will soon be here. In Egypt the sun is warm on the green palm trees, and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazily about them. So there is the difference in the season. Why they were migrating towards Egypt. In the square below, আমার গল্প বলতে লেগেছে, happy prince, said the happy prince, there stand a little match girl. She has let her matches fall in the gutter. মানে ম্যাচ গার্ল বলতে ম্যাচস্টিক সেলার। কি হয়েছে, হাত থেকে পড়ে গেছে সব গাটারে, ড্রেনের মধ্যে। and they are all spoiled. স্বাভাবিক ব্যাপার, জলের মধ্যে পড়ে গেলে তো নষ্ট হবে। Her father will beat her if she doesn't bring home some money. And she is crying, she has no shoes or stockings. মানে পড়ার মতো কিছু নেই যে সে নিজেকে ওয়ার্ম রাখবে, বা এদিকে ভয়ে কাঁদছে বাবা মারবে বাড়ি গেলে, কিছু বিক্রি করে আসতে পারেনি তো দূরের কথা, নষ্ট করেছে। যদি টাকা পয়সা বা কিছু না নিয়ে বাড়ি যায় তাহলে কি হবে, বাবা বকবে। Pluck out my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. Now if the second eye would have been plucked, what would have been? Completely blind হয়ে যাবে। I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but cannot pluck out your eye, you would be quite blind then. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I commanded you. যা বললাম তাই করো। So he plucked out the princess' other eye and darted down with it. He swooped past the match girl and slipped the jewel into the palm of her hand. হাতের মধ্যে সুপ করে উড়ে গেল, যে হাতের মধ্যে স্যাপার দিয়ে চলে উড়ে গেল। What a lovely bead of glass! স্যাপার মানে না, চকচক করছে, crystallized, কি সুন্দর দেখতে, cried the little girl, and she ran home laughing. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said, so I will stay with you always. আর আমি যাচ্ছি না। No, little swallow, said the poor prince, you must go to Egypt. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow, and he slept at the prince's feet. All the next day he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him stories of what he had seen in strange lands. Now, bird's eye viewpoint থেকে the bird swallow had helped the prince, helping out all those miseries that he could see from there. এবার কি হচ্ছে দেখো, dear little swallow, said the prince, you tell me of marvelous things, but more marvelous than anything is the suffering of men and women. There is no misery so great as misery. কষ্ট, মিজারির থেকে বড় মিজারি আর কিছু নেই। Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there. So the swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making merry in their beautiful houses, while the beggars were sitting at the gates. He flew into dark lanes and saw the white faces of starving children looking out listlessly at the black streets. Under the archway of a bridge, two little boys were lying in each other's arms to try and keep themselves warm. নিজেদেরকে ওয়ার্ম রাখার চেষ্টা করছিল ওই সময়। এবার কি হলো দেখো, how hungry we are, they said. You must not lie here, shouted the watchman. এই এখান থেকে ওঠো। Those who are in misery, their biggest enemy is misery itself. তাই বলছে এখান থেকে যাও, and they wandered out into the rain. Then he flew back to and told the prince what he had seen. I am covered with fine gold, said the prince. You must take it off, leaf by leaf, একটা একটা করে তুলবে, and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy. আবার একটা মজার কথা বলি, living always think that gold can make them happy. Having gold stands for I am very happy. Gold is the reason for their happiness always. It's actually what? It's actually a materialistic happiness. The happiness that can only be gained with wealth. But those who are not living on spiritual things can be happy with helping others. But spiritual happiness can only be gained with helping others. That is the real happiness. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold the swallow picked up till the happy prince looked quite dull and grey. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold he brought to the poor. The children's face grew rosier, and they laughed and played in the street. We have bread now, they cried. Then the snow came, and after the snow came the frost. The streets looked as if they were made of silver. সব সাদা হয়ে গেল. Everybody went about in farts, মানে ফাটের জামা কাপড় পরতে শুরু করলো ঠান্ডার জন্য অতটা. And the little boys wear scarlet caps, or scarlet মানে লাল রঙের ক্যাপ পরলো, টুপি পরলো, caps, and skated on the ice এর মধ্যে স্কেটিং করলো। হ্যাঁ, মানে ওর আনন্দ, সোনা পেয়েছে, খুব ভালো। The poor little swallow grew colder and colder. কিন্তু poor little swallow কিন্তু এবার আস্তে আস্তে ঠান্ডায় কাঁপছে। But he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking. And মানে একটু বেকারের কাছ থেকে একটু খেয়ে নিল, ওখান থেকে একটু খেয়ে নিলে, সব করে নিজেকে বাঁচছে। And tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. তাই বলে কিরকম করে আর বাঁচা যায়? But at last he knew that he was going to die. He had just enough strength to fly up to the prince's soldier once more. Goodbye, dear prince, he murmured. Will you let me kiss your hand? Goodbye জানাতে গেছে, মরে যাবে জানছে। I am glad that you are going to Egypt at last, little swallow, said the prince. You have stayed too long here, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you. It is not to Egypt that I am going, said the swallow. I am going to the house of death. Death is the brother of sleep. Is he not? আমি কোথায় যাচ্ছি? মরে যাব, মরতে যাচ্ছি, কারণ because no way to live long now. And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. At that moment a curious crack sound inside the statue, as if something has broken. The fact that the leaden heart had snapped right into. ওই যেহেতু পার্সনিফাইড করা হয়েছে, so it is considered that the statue of the happy prince also had a leaden heart. As soon as the swallow died or about to die, ওরও হার্টটা ব্রেক করে গেল, দেব ভেঙে গেল, তাই আওয়াজটা শোনা গেল, সেটাই বলছে। In certainty, it certainly was a dreadfully hard frost. Early the next morning, the mayor was walking in the square below in company with the town councillors. As they passed the column, he looked up at the statue. "Dear me, how shabby the happy prince looks," he said. See, when the prince was covered with gold, sapphires, and ruby, it was looking enormous, gorgeous, luxurious, so enchanting. But as soon as the glory, outward glory of the statue has been taken away, it has become useless, worthless towards for the city owners, city councillors. But the reason for this was taken away out was noble, and the people who were helped, actually the member or the citizens of that particular town, of which the person was the councillor of the কি বলে মেয়র, যার কিন্তু রেসপন্সিবিলিটি ছিল হেল্প করা, তার জায়গায় কি করলো সেই হ্যাপি প্রিন্সের আর সোয়ালো। আর আজকে যদি তার গায়ে আর কিছু নেই, সব লিডেন হয়ে গেছে, তখন ওটা বলছে কি আর ভালো না। The ruby has fallen out of his sword, his eyes are gone, and he is golden no longer, said the mayor. In fact, he is little better than a beggar. Little better than a beggar, said the town councillors. And the town councillors are the puppet in the hand of their leaders. নেতা যা বলে চালা তাই বলে, হ্যাঁ বললে হ্যাঁ বলে, না বললে না বলে, জানে না কোনটা ঠিক কোনটা ভুল। বুঝছে, আমি আর এখন রিপিট করছি না, বলেছে যখন গেছে তখন গেছে, চাঁদে গেছে রাকেশ বসে। হ্যাঁ, and here is actually a dead bird at his feet. Continued the mayor, we must really issue a proclamation that birds are not be allowed to die here. And the town clerk made a note of suggestions. So they pulled down the statue of the happy prince, as he is no longer beautiful, he is no longer useful, said the art professor at the university delegates. Now they have come to give their opinions, but the people who are suffering out, dying out of hunger and poverty, at that time these delegates are not in sync. Now they have come to give their opinion. Then they melted the statue in a furnace. What a strange thing, said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. ওখানে যারা করছিল কাজ তারা বলল, কি ব্যাপার, স্ট্রেঞ্জ জিনিস, this broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. আগুনে গললো না তো, ফার্নেসের ভাটিতে কই গললো না তো, তাই বলছে। We must throw it away. So they threw it on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. মানে the heart of the happy prince and the dead body of the swallow was lying on a heap there on the dust heap. এবার দেখো একটা কোট আছে, bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God to one of his angels. কি চেয়ে পাঠালো ভগবান? Most precious thing in the city, two most precious things. And the angel brought him the leaden heart and the dead body. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of paradise this little bird shall sing forevermore, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me. So those who do good deeds, they can be set in paradise. তাই না? লোকের সেবা করাটা খুব দরকার। So over.